Oh yeah, next question is from RKO Kid 89. What do you think of Biggie and Tupac? Definitely, they're two great rappers and definitely high on the list as far as the greatest rappers of all time. Personally, they're not my favorite of all time, but I definitely can respect both of them. But the one thing I will say is that a lot of people, probably in my age group or even younger, basically look away from the era of hip hop that came before Biggie and Tupac. The Rakims, the KRS-Ones, the Big Daddy Kanes, Ice Cube, Dr. Dre, all of them, and look away from them and say Biggie and Tupac are the greatest. They're definitely great, but I would put KRS-One, Rakim above them. Possibly, I definitely would put Jay-Z above them, and pretty much in probably a tie, I would probably put Nas there with them too. But definitely, they're two great rappers. Next question is from Full Metal 2K8. What was your reaction to Lil Wayne selling over 1 million on his CD? Definitely, I wasn't shocked because I know he has a lot of fans and definitely is liked by a lot. I don't see why. I'm not a fan of him, but the one thing I will say is that he makes the stuff he puts out commercially and the stuff he puts out on his records aren't good at all. But if anyone's heard his two mixtapes, Dedication and Dedication 2, no, he's actually good lyrically. If anyone doesn't believe that, just type in on here the song Georgia Bush off one of his mixtapes, and definitely that's a great lyrical song. The thing I hate about him, he doesn't put that on his albums. I feel the same way about Young Jeezy, but I think he's done a little better job than Lil Wayne as far as the albums go. His first album wasn't that good, but the second album he started, having some stuff from his mixtape era and starting to be more lyrical on his CDs. So that's the thing I hate about some artists, that they dumb it down for the mainstream CDs, and that's definitely what Lil Wayne has done. Next question: with Jerry Lynn going to be working in Ring of Honor for some shows, who would you like to see him wrestle there? I would definitely like to see him wrestle Bryan Danielson or Austin Aries. I think both of them will work well with him, and the thing I definitely can't wait to see is when the DVD gets released, the Chicago Ridge show coming up this Saturday with Nigel McGuinness versus Jerry Lynn in a non-title match. That should be very good. So hopefully Jerry Lynn stays full-time in Ring of Honor. He's one of the very few wrestlers his age that can still go in the ring and is still, very good. And definitely, when I think of, the most underrated wrestlers of all time, Jerry Lynn is high on that list. And definitely is a great wrestler, so hopefully he stays there full time. I would like to see. Next question is from Southern Hip Hop Head. I was just wondering if you were familiar with some of the old tag teams from the late '80s and early '90s in WWE. Tag teams like the Nasty Boys, the Bushwhackers, and Demolition. I was just wondering, what was your favorite tag team from that time period? Definitely, as far as, I've been a wrestling fan since about '96, so definitely had to go back and research, all these tag teams from back in the day. And I think that's whenever anyone gets into wrestling, you need to follow the history and go back, watching old VHS tapes, DVDs of, old footage, and definitely, as far as tag team wrestling went, I would say the NWA was a whole lot better than the WWE at that point, because I really liked the Rock and Roll Express, the Midnight Express, the Freebirds, the Fantastics, and you had the Four Horsemen, so you had a lot of great tag teams in the NWA/Jim Crockett era. WWE had some good ones too. You had Demolition, you had LOD working in both NWA and WWE at different time periods. You had the Hart Foundation, you had the Bulldogs. As far as my favorite tag team from that era, probably either the Rock and Roll Express or the Hart Foundation. I would say the Bulldogs, but they weren't used properly in WWE. Especially, Bulldog was never used right as a singles wrestler, and they didn't even try to use Dynamite Kid at all, which, in my opinion, Dynamite Kid's one of the greatest of all time. Next question is from Thuggin83. Who is your favorite rapper of all time? Easily Rakim. Rakim is the best rapper of all time in my opinion, and definitely the best lyrical rapper of all time. There's only a few that come close, and that's probably Pat Now and possibly Saigon, and KRS-One. Those are the only three that I would say that comes even close of being as good lyrically as Rakim was. How do you feel about the wellness policy? As I said, the wellness policy is nothing more than a joke. It has double standards. They try to make it seem like it works from time to time, but it's nothing more than a joke that WWE put together to make it look like they're actually suspending people, but pretty much, they have double standards. Orton, Batista, and basically anyone, that's friends with Triple H probably can get away with using steroids. Anyone that's a top star in WWE can get away with it. My feelings on Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy, in my opinion, he is a great talent, and if he gets his shit together and stops fucking up and stops, doing whatever he's doing outside of wrestling and just focuses on wrestling, he could be a future Hall of Famer, a future World Heavyweight Champion if he does that. I hope he does, because definitely he's a great talent. My feelings on Evan Bourne, a.k.a. Matt Sydal. Matt Sydal is a great talent, and glad WWE is starting to use him and definitely brought him up. The next talent I'm hoping they bring up is Colt Cabana at sometime in the near future. Next question is from Bryce Aru, 1992. What was your favorite Royal Rumble of all time and why? My favorite Royal Rumble of all time is probably the Royal Rumble of 2001. Definitely loved the Rumble match in general. Triple H and Kurt Angle had a great match on there. I think they actually had a decent women's match with Chyna and Ivory. And you had a ladder match with Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit that was great. Just a overall great show, and definitely one of my top Rumbles of all time. And there's some other good Rumbles that I like too, but definitely that's high on the list. That's my favorite Rumbles. Next question is from Kilroy 687. I was just wondering what your thoughts were on the whole movie scene and Ring of Honor between Jimmy Jacobs pulling his cane knife weapon on Lacey. Do you think Ring of Honor went too far to imply murder? And your opinion on the whole angle in general? I don't think Ring of Honor went too far, because definitely angles like this have happened in the past, and they didn't really go too far. And I like that they made it seem like it was realistic. That might be one part that some people might say they were trying to push it too far because they made it look so real. It definitely, pretty much, I doubt that's going to be the last time you see Lacey in Ring of Honor. I'm pretty sure she's going to return sometime in Ring of Honor, with Austin Aries to seek revenge on Jimmy Jacobs, because I highly doubt that'd be the last time. But if it was, that was, a great. And the Lacey and Jimmy saga, as far as the storyline, really enjoyed it. The Lacey and Jimmy Jacobs saga that started in 2005 and is still going on today is probably one of the best storylines of all time. It's fucking genius. Just had so many twists and turns in it. Anyone that's not familiar with it, just check out some of the Ring of Honor video wires, and you can catch it up watching it that way.